What's good, y'all? It's this part of the week again. It is getting close to summoning time. We have a Wednesday currently and only 2 more days until Madness is unleashed, until we get the Thanksgiving events, Thanksgiving discounts, Black Friday, yada yada. So, last weekend I want you to not summon because there would be something big. You could probably call what we're expecting on Friday something big, but is it actually worth for you to summon? That is exactly what we're going to answer in this video, and we're going to go step by step. Let's start with the ancients. So, for the ancients, they've now added in Demi and Cyrus, both of them having unique kits, but wouldn't actually be anything game breaking nor elevate your account to the next level. And furthermore, we don't have any 10x or anything on this banner, and also it is still unclear if Solkadance is in the pool of pullable units or if they're still withholding him for the moment, because it wasn't explicitly stated. So basically they're adding in a couple new units, basically fresh blood into the pool. If you pull them, they're fucking rare. You can only get them from ancients, and you obviously are going to be super lucky if you do happen to get them. But like I said, there's no 10x, there's nothing special, and this one is probably the last ancients before Christmas. And especially on Christmas, it is very unlikely that they don't actually give us a special ancient summoning banner. So meaning a 10x that potentially boosts either Infernus, so Twinfield or Soul Cadence, or even the Northerners giving us Eldor. But what also is interesting is that they've accidentally released that hero. Especially one of those that covered was Fastidious, and that dude is called Uridin. And just looking at his kit, he's definitely a very strong hero, and I would probably label him as a fusion between Hudson and Vierna. And who's familiar with units knows Hudson and Vierna are at the moment obviously top tier units, and a fusion between those, it's just ridiculous. So just for this banner, Uridin isn't in the pool, so you might want to save your resources until Uridin gets added. So yeah, summon on your own discretion, but at the end of the day, it is not going to be anything monumental, be it you summon or you don't, because those rates are just that minor and the rate of acquisition for ancients is just that low, that unless you decide to whale, you probably won't have that much of an impact regarding summoning on this ancient banner or not. Alright, now on to the 2 times and 10 times banner. So twice the chance to get a legendary, and then 10 times the chance to be this specific legendary. So either Constance or Alaura. And let's get straight into the legendaries. And who do we have here? We actually have here Superhero Mariel. Like, who else could you describe her? Like, she put down that mask, swapped the shield to the other side, and thought we wouldn't notice? No, 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 no. We too smart for that. We know it. That's superhero Mariel right there. Mariel in disguise. So yeah, enough of the jokes. Let's actually talk about her. So, Constance is a legendary Dolores that you can put on the ground. And now the most important part, inspiration-wise, they end up at around the same level. Constance has a higher base attack, so obviously going higher in attack and giving a bigger inspiration buff, being a total of around 1,000 attack higher, but she only gives a 45% inspiration boost compared to Dolores' 60% one. Furthermore, if we take a look at the rage cost, there's a significant difference in between, as you can see, 1,100 rage cost, and if we go to a fully skilled Dolores real quick, you can see that the Dolores only has a rage cost of 900, so there's already a difference in between those units. And Dolores has a talent that, we all know it, allows her at A5 with an 80% chance to actually restore rage for herself, so giving her that added rage region. But Constance isn't actually missing out on that part, because if I can finally find it, as you can see here, she has a talent. When being healed, the hero restores 3% rage, and this effect can be triggered 1 time every 2 seconds. So she's basically going to restore 15% rage every 10 seconds, which is definitely going to help with her heightened rage requirements. And in the end, she's pretty much just that. she's going to be applicable everywhere where Dolores is going to be applicable. She's going to be easily used in certain stages, for example, especially AMR. Now that they've increased the damage AMR does and reduced the defense, so the AMR boss now dies faster, but hits harder. Obviously, having an inspiration unit in your team that you can place on the ground is going to easily help you annihilate that AMR boss. So if you haven't cleared AMR 18 yet, this would definitely be a nice unit to pick up. And if we look a bit further at her kit, as you can see with the rejuvenating chant, she also, when she heals another ground unit, gets self-healing. So she doesn't necessarily just need to heal herself, she also gets rage if she heals an allied unit. Furthermore, she actually can heal. Compared to a Dolores, a Constance can actually heal, which is interesting considering the fact that she's a defender. But yeah, she's basically a ground-based Dolores with healing capabilities, and I would give her a must summon rating if you don't have a Dolores, and a 4 out of 5 if you do happen to have a Dolores, because especially if you're looking at the late game, she's probably not going to find a place in Guild Boss, because with the way the Rage Region tactics work and all that good stuff, you can't really boost Constance while boosting every other unit. It's a bit too complicated here, but in the end she's not really going to be required at the highest level, especially because we don't have the required fighters to actually make her shine. And also, it is very, very unlikely that she's able to be geared well enough to solo heal through the guild boss. So there's also probably going to be a need to place another healer down anyway, which mitigates her healing advantage. So yeah, Constance, must pull if you don't have a Dolores. It is that simple. Now let's talk about her awakenings real quick. Honestly, her awakenings, besides the A2 giving her 300 attack, so increasing the inspiration buff she gives, her awakenings aren't actually anything interesting. They do increase her healing capabilities, but honestly with her kit, those aren't really in the foreground, because the most important part of her is still going to be that invigoration buff. So besides the A2, honestly, a single A0 Constance is going to be more than enough. And now on to Alaura. So, Alaura is the same as if a Constance would be a Dolores, then an Alaura would be a Hatset. Alaura is a must summon if you haven't cleared Gear Rate 321 yet and possess neither a Silas and a Vjörna, because the Silas can just annihilate the boss, or a Hatset, because Hatset is pretty much what an Alaura is in taking care of the right side for Gear Rate 3, and without them you're going to struggle a big time, and Alaura would just easily alleviate that problem. But in the end, that's her main use. She's going to carry you to Gear Rate 321, obviously bringing a lot of value to your account, with Gear Rate 3 being the most important gear rate in the entire game, with Soulbound, Arcana, and Infernal Roar easily being the strongest sets, giving you the best amount of progression, being used in Guild Boss, Void Rift, pretty much anywhere you could imagine. And yeah, she does have a unique kit of staying invisible in her ultimate, or pretty much out of her ultimate. But it is pretty unique. You will be able to use her in Void Rift, you will be able to use her in all matters of stages, but she's not going to really shine. Her main purpose is actually to turn the right side of Gear Rate 319 and above into an utter joke. And that is pretty much all there is to say regarding her. If you don't have a Hatset, summon her, clear 321 and start that grind. Awakening wise, her Awakening 1 is actually quite nice. Interesting enough, X's crit rate, so everything above 100% will be converted into crit damage. This allows you to make use of something very special. You can actually use crit rate percent main stats to overcap your crit rate, so you'll finally have a use of crit rate percentage main stat pieces even in the end game, because even if you look at it mathematically, if you add in a 72% crit rate buff, crit rate piece at the top with 20% crit rate coming to 100% crit rate, or add in a 66% crit rate piece, effectively giving you 46% crit damage with a 30% crit damage sub, it will come out to the exact same. So yeah, if you happen to get her A1, you can freely use her with crit damage main stats. Her A2, obviously, attack being the gold stat, is quite nice. The crit hits triggered in invisibility state will have a 50% chance to deal an additional 80% damage to two targets within 1.5 tiles of the initial targets. Honestly, it's not going to be needed. Your Alaura is not going to fail Gear 3 just because she isn't A3. So honestly, that's not worth going for. The crit rate 8% increase is quite nice, especially because it also at the highest cap with the A1 works towards crit damage. And this one over here, increasing the damage during her ultimate, is also in the end quite minor. She gets most of her power from being A0, and if you want to play around a bit, get some more freedom regarding gearing, you would want to have her at A1 for that added option to use crit rate percent main stat. So in conclusion, Alaura also a 4 out of 5 if you happen to not have a hard set nor a Silas plus Vjörna combo. Easy 5 out of 5. Probably must summon if you do want to play progression oriented. If you just don't like the hero, you don't need to summon for her. Alright, now on to the next hero. Obviously, Hollow. Hollow is pretty much the second strongest epic healer in the entire game, obviously being behind Dolores, even though technically Dolores is a support. But if you don't happen to have a Leia or Elowen, Hollow is pretty much a must pull. Even at the highest levels, Hollow gets played for her insane Vortex-like range and her rage capabilities. Even at the highest levels of Guild Boss, allowing for an easy Laurel swap in friend assist Laura cheese, and pretty much in any content imaginable you're going to use her. You're going to need her for Gear Rate 1, you're going to need her for progression in Gear Rate 2, you're going to be able to use her in Gear Rate 3, she's going to be useful in Void Rift, you can even use her in Arena. Hollow is a top tier epic with even a significantly lower drop rate on average compared to others. So if you don't have her, make sure to snatch her up on this banner, especially now that her rates are boosted 10 times. Though keep in mind, just her rates are boosted 10 times, not the rates for epics. So the rates for epics are actually exactly the same. On to the next one. Theowin. Theowin compared to all the prior units is, I wouldn't say he's mediocre, but at the end of the day, he's a fusion unit. You can fuse him out of 2 stars and 3 stars, and the only places where he really shines is Gear Rate 3 for either clearing the sides or later on, obviously with his A5, putting out some significant damage. And in Arena, he's pretty much a Gear Rate 3 Arena type guy, and if you don't happen to have a Maul or Brienne, he's definitely worthy to be picked up, but he is a fusion unit, so we do need to subtract some points, and I would give him a solid 3.5 star rating over here. So you're definitely not going to go into this banner aiming for a Theowin. Same with Dallin over here. Dallin is a cost generator, and that's pretty much her role. You place her on the field, she's going to restore cost, and that is useful in a lot of gear rates. You can make use of it in, like I said, gear rates. You can make use of it in Void, but she's not irreplaceable. Cyrene, so the Curse Fighter Cyrene, and even Navi, the 3-star, both have the same capabilities and can replace a Dallin, which is why you shouldn't put too much importance on her. So if you do happen to not have a cost generator, you can pick her up. She's going to find use at some point, I can guarantee you as much. Which already concludes the 2 times and 10 times banner. Alright, now on to the 1+1 banner. What does the 1+1 banner mean? It is 1 times rate, so a 0.5% chance to get a legendary hero. But if you happen to get a legendary hero, you're actually going to get an additional legendary hero on top. So you summon one legendary hero and you get another one. 1+1 banners are kind of a trap, but also kind of a gift. The closer you are to pity and the surer you are to reach pity, the better this banner becomes. Let's take an example of being at 190 pity, which would mean you only need around 28 summons to guaranteed get 2 legendary heroes, which is pretty much too good of a deal to pass off on. If you happen to have a high pity, easily summon on the surprise invocation of spirits. If not, you might want to consider summoning on the 2 times 10 times instead because of the double increase to legend rate. And if you happen to get unlucky and build pity on the 2 times 10 times, you can always swap back to the 1+1 banner. At the end of the day, summoning on the 1+1 banner is only a mistake if you have limited resources, don't want to spend, and are sure you're not going to reach pity, because you could walk away summoning 70 times getting no legendary, so also don't getting a double legendary, which would obviously ruin the purpose of the 1+1 banner. So yeah, if you can afford it, if you can hit pity, the 1+1 is definitely something to go for, especially because at least for the moment still, the pool of heroes is quite beneficial to us. So the chances of actually getting a good hero out of the 1+1 versus getting a bad hero are actually slightly in favor of the player, which is always a good thing. Now on to the final ratings. Ancient Summon banner, no rate ups, Cyrus and Demi added into a pool gets a flat out 3 out of 5, because in the end it is nothing impressive, and with the rates you aren't guaranteed to get anything at all. So if you're conscious about your resources, if you do want to make the most out of the limited amount of ancient summons we are able to acquire, you're probably better off summoning for the Christmas banner, because at that point Demi, Cyrus should all still be in the pool and acquirable for you. If you wanna buy ancients, if you're actually buying packs on Black Friday, and if you're looking to get Demi and Cyrus because you just want unique units, because you want to rare units even just for the flags, honestly go for it. It's probably a 4 out of 5 banner considering the fact that they've added in secondary faction lords now. Next banner, 2 times 10 times. At the end of the day, it all depends on who you have. If you happen to have a Dolores, a Hatsid, and a Leia or Elwyn already, then this banner is pretty much a 2 out of 5 to 3 out of 5, because all those heroes are pretty much doing the same thing and won't be anything beneficial. If you happen to be missing any of these, so a Dolores, a Hatsid, or Leia / Elwyn, then this banner instantly turns into a 4 out of 5 or potential 5 out of 5, depending on how many summons you saved up on and for how much you can summon. Obviously, the more units you're missing out of these, the more replacement units you're missing, the higher the rating of this banner. Even as a free-to-play, it wouldn't honestly be a mistake to summon on this banner. And if you're spending, and if you still don't have a Hatsid, honestly go for this banner. Get yourself that Alaura Hatsid replacement and boost the hell through gear rate 321. And even if you already have a Leia or Elwyn, Hollow is always still a nice unit to have, because in most cases you are viable to run 2 rage boosters, be it Guild Boss, be it Gear Rate 1, be it Void Rift. It's definitely not going to impact you in a negative way. Talking about the 1+1. 1+1, if you're not close to pity and if you won't reach pity, 2 out of 5, the closer you are to pity, the better the star rating. And honestly, if you want to spend, even if you, and especially if you're still starting out and looking for more legendary heroes, do make sure to summon on that banner, get 2 legendaries for the price of a single one. And yeah, if you got the monies, enjoy.